Hey there everyone, Dr. Beth Westy here, and I wanted to pop on and talk about three main things that we look at when we do a GI mapping test that impact not only your gut health, but also your hormonal health, reproductive health a little bit here. Yeah. These are not commonly talked about things, and I want to address them because they're very important. They're very important, and women need to know how to work with their systems to balance things out so that you can stay as healthy as possible. So, reasons that I do GI mapping testing is that it shows us a ton of information. Now, I'm just talking about three of the things on there. We look at different parasites, protozoa, different worms, other viruses, things like that, as well as your own immune response in your system. Do you have inflammation? What's it from? Do you have gluten reactions? Do you have an autoimmune thing going on in your gut? I can see all of that on a GI mapping test. It's so in-depth and in detail, and I'll do more information on that in other videos. If you have questions, let me know. Drop a comment below, say, hey, what about this weird thing? What about ulcerative colitis? What about Crohn's? What about, some of these things? Or what about, somebody who gets, any type of heartburn or things like that, and how that impacts your hormonal health? Let me know, and I can do more videos around the gut and your hormones, because there's such a close tie between the two that I want to make sure I'm giving you guys good information that's actually helpful and what you need. So when we look at this GI mapping, these are just, again, three things of the many that we look at, but we're looking at things like good bacteria, bad bacteria, yeast that are present. Oftentimes when there is a gut issue, your good bacteria is actually going to be decreased, right? It's going to be decreased. You can have certain levels that are high, certain levels that are low, very specific to you. How does it get like that? Sometimes it's just being exposed to certain things that are all around you, and you should have a certain level of good bacteria in your gut. Bad bacteria, oftentimes this then is increased. Where does the bad bacteria come from? Everywhere. On your skin, in your food, all the things, right? And if your good bacteria isn't strong enough, it cannot keep the bad bacteria in check. So this doesn't sound fun, I know. Now, super fun as we're going along with this is that you can actually have an increase of yeast growth as well. That sounds gross. I know, right? It also doesn't feel good, right? If you have an increase of yeast growth in your gut. Yeah. This is going to impact on how well your body can overall break down, process, absorb, digest foods. And sometimes just, I'm going to eat more fiber, that's going to help. And it does not help. Right? It's very, very interesting. If you're like, well, I'm taking a probiotic, I'm trying to do the things, it might not be the right probiotic for what you have going on for bacterial balance. It might not be enough. You might need more enzymes. There's a lot of stuff that we look at. We might need to do some repair for leaky gut. That's really important to look at too. But especially having these things, having your bacterial balance be off also just creates this whole open space for yeast to be like, oh, I'm taking over the party now. Yay! What happens when we get a lot of yeast, right? Overall, the balance is off, so you can have chronic yeast infections. You can be susceptible to chronic yeast infections, or yeast infections that seem like they go away, but then they, oh, not really, it's not bad, but it doesn't really, And then you're like, what's going on with me? Why does this keep coming back again? Right? Your reproductive health is very closely tied to your digestive health. So again, if you have questions on something specific, put a comment right below. If you're not comfortable commenting, always feel free to message me privately. I get a lot of messages every single day from women all over the world that have questions about how their system works. So if you're like, asking for a friend, but it's really me and I don't want to say it, send me a message privately, and I'm more than happy to do a video on it. But the chronic yeast infections is one thing, and you can also have and/or BV, which is bacterial vaginosis. Chronic, recurring issues. Even if it's not a yeast infection, you're like, yeah, I said it wasn't a yeast infection. I keep getting BV again and again. What is it? All of this contributes and more. And if you have a partner and they have an imbalance in their gut, it can also trigger the imbalance in yourself. Sounds great, right? Yeah. So how do we get to the bottom of this? How do we know what to target? How do we know what to do? We do GI mapping. right? These are things that I do when I work with women in a one-on-one basis, right? So I'm going to put a comment here below so you can learn more about that. But we do GI mapping, we do Dutch testing, and then sometimes other testing if we need to, just to get to the spot like thyroid or whatnot, just to make sure we are really targeting all the things that we need to target for your system specifically. But stop guessing or stop trying to think, gosh, is it this food? Is it because I ate a banana yesterday or whatever? No. If your gut is already like irritated and disrupted, it doesn't matter what you eat. It's going to trigger a lot of things. Yeah, so that's what we're trying to do. Get your system stronger, get it balanced so that your body works better, so that it can stop having chronic issues here. So that's what I got for you guys right now. Please, again, and let me know if you have questions. The videos that I do are based off of questions that, come from you. So let me know what other questions you have or what you want me to dive into. Other resources I have for you, of course, are my books, The Female Fat Solution. This is all about nutrition that matches your hormones and your cycle. And The Female Menopause Solution for those gals that don't have a cycle anymore. There you go. And then I have a podcast called The Female Health Solution, as well as a YouTube channel called Dr. with Westy. So subscribe to those things, stay updated on all the stuff I have coming out, and let me know if you need anything else. All right, have a great rest of your night.